Hello and welcome to the Panelists, the only British-style panel show on the internet I can find without searching for other better ones on YouTube. This week we have 4 people on 2 teams answering questions from one host, me, Kathleen DeVere. The rest of these people also have names and you'll see them in about 17 or 18 minutes when we get to the credits. This week, I'm joined by Team Africano.
Also known as an Americano misto, it's the logical halfway point between an Americano and a latte, i.e. common ground.
Yeah, I like to describe our friendship as a watered-down latte.
And Team Minty Surprise.
We're both brisk and invigorating.
It's kind of a weird reference to the shirt I'm wearing.
Oh.
Well, I'm glad everybody's found some sort of common ground that they can agree on. That is truly good news. And another good news, you've gotten on the wrong bus. Bad news, you've also reached the end of the line at the end of the day and the driver is forcing you to disembark, leaving you stranded in a desolate stretch of unfamiliar road on a cold and rainy night. There are, however, 2 places to take shelter while you wait until morning for the next bus. There is a delightful cottage decorated with gingerbread cakes, candy, and window panes of clear sugar, bearing a colorful doormat that says, "Children welcome." But if that's not to your liking, further down the road there is a sign directing you to the scenic Overlook Hotel, which bears a sign, "Closed for the season, caretaker on site to answer questions." Which do you choose? Team Minty Surprise.
I think I'd be remiss if we didn't insist for the Overlook Hotel.
Oh man, I was afraid you were going to say that, but yeah.
Team Africano, you're going to be eaten by a witch then.
Right, that is what happens in this story.
Yeah,
Right.
But good news, I love candy. I love sugar. Just think about it, there's going to be so much to eat. Ooh, and I hear there's an oven in there, but we can use it to heat up those like really nice Japanese, like the Kit Kats that you put in the oven to bring out the sugars.
Mm-hmm. And eventually, when this old woman, who presumably is a witch or something, but seems like a kindly old woman, manages to get us into the oven to bake us into a pie or whatever it was that she did in the story of Hansel and Gretel, then I'm going to take as much of her house with me as I can in my stomach.
Yeah.
In the broad metaphor of The Shining,
Yeah.
it took months for the cabin fever to set into a homicidal rage. We're going to be here overnight, and honestly, I like those odds.
Yeah, the caretaker's on site. That doesn't necessarily mean it's Jack Nicholson's character.
Yeah.
That could have been Scatman Crothers' character.
Exactly.
Right, he's supposed to be around, and he's supposed to be pretty friendly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we've got a well-stocked fridge that nobody will eat us
Yeah.
if we raid. We'll just get murdered with a fire axe, probably. Yeah. And then we also have that really pleasing carpet pattern that you can trace with a finger.
Yeah, and if we find the right room, free blowjobs from a bear.
Ooh. Now, if we're coming at it from that sort of angle, Serge and I are not 2 tiny, I want to say, Danish children?
You're more like otters.
Right. Someone did tell me that in a comment section once. So I feel like this old woman, whose powers, as far as I remember the story, managed to manifest insofar as there is a gingerbread house, we could probably take her.
Ooh, I like that.
I don't think, because she didn't compel Hansel and Gretel to get into the oven. She was just like, "Oh yes, please, into the oven." And they went, "We sure are dumb," and got on in. We don't have to do that. We can just eat the centerpiece.
Kim, does Hansel and Gretel end with the kids dying? Because in the versions I was read as a child and then read myself as a child, I don't remember them ever dying.
I don't actually remember. I want to say that they were tricked into the oven and then somehow made an escape with like breadcrumbs behind them.
I was just going based on the notion that every sort of nursery rhyme that we know of had an original version that was awful. So I assume,
way darker.
I assume that in the original story, Hansel and Gretel died horribly in an oven, and it was some sort of cautionary tale about don't go into the woods or don't take
Yeah,
candy
the
from
witches killed
strangers.
thousands of kids over the years.
Yeah, but yes, I've read the same version you have, where they leave the trail of breadcrumbs and kick the witch into the oven and everything, and we could certainly do that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the only reason I brought it up was because I was a little confused that maybe something was wrong with my childhood and that I was misremembering this whole thing. It wasn't really so much to poke a hole in the story you guys are assembling for
You're
yourself.
like, did my parents edit every nursery rhyme that I had read to me?
Yeah.
But, like you can very easily imagine a situation where your parents are like flipping through this like very brightly colored children's story and slowly going pale as they're like, holy hell, she's gonna eat the children.
Quick
She
edit.
eats the children.
Yeah.
And then they leave a trail of breadcrumbs behind them, and the witch falls in the oven and they escape. Go to bed.
Like my parents would be sitting there and saying, and then the little boy escaped from the man chasing him with an axe, and the man froze to death in the winter, and everyone else got out safe at the end.
Even if we do have a happy ending to both of these stories,
Right.
you know, say The Shining and the Hansel and Gretel one, I'd still rather be in our house. I'd still rather be surrounded by candy than being chased by a lunatic axe murderer. Even if we get away, even if there is a quote unquote happy ending, I like my atmosphere better than your atmosphere.
I mean, if it's accessible by bus, then certainly the winter hasn't set in yet. We
yeah.
walked here.
That's
Aha!
true.
What now?
We're just in a very creepy supernatural environment, but it hasn't turned us yet because we've only been there maybe like 2 or 3 hours, and overnight we're going to be like, it was good. I'm just going to go outside and catch the 7:30 bus back to wherever the hell it was I meant to go.
Yeah, nice feather bed. It's a luxury resort. I'm assuming its Yelp reviews are pretty strong, at least, during the season.
I can go down to the lounge and play piano by myself, like maybe Scatman comes out and we have a song together.
I'm just picturing this scene where the elevator doors open, there's blood everywhere, and Cam's just kind of like, okay.
Old content. What you got for me now, hotel? This is from the 70s. I've seen animated GIFs that were worse than this.
I'm now imagining a similar scene in our cabin, but it's just jam. What, like the doors open and just a flood of jam?
Why jam?
Since it's a red viscous fluid, Serge, I'm trying to connect it to the blood.
Like what comes out of the elevator in The Shining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That you described.
In that vision that a character has at
Well,
one point.
I thought specifically with jam, there was like some jam meme I didn't get. We're talking about bikes or new things. I'm like, I don't know about the jam. Is this the new hot thing in the GIFs that I don't know about?
That's
I'm
fair.
just-
When
I'm
just talking about the cabin, I thought he meant the cabin out the mountain we stay at every year.
Like suddenly moths are cool. I thought maybe jam was cool and I missed it.
Yeah, that moth thing came out of nowhere, didn't
Right? Thank you.
Yeah.
I just like jam. I don't.
Well, now I'm hungry. Thanks.
You're welcome.
At least we're in a candy cabin. We can just eat the walls.
Wouldn't you get a stomach ache? Like I try my hardest to eat lots of chocolate, and I can only go so far before I finally something in my body registers and said, "You are killing yourself," and by extension me, which is myself, which is my own body. And so I have to think that it's like at a certain point you get sick of eating like wafers off the walls and stuff, and it's like, do you have anything here that's like, do you have like anything made out of spinach?
One advantage, though, is the witch has never been proactive in her attempt to eat the children. It's always trying to coax them and stuff like that. So we've got lots of time. You could have a little nibble and then just wait till you feel better and nibble again. And then she'll come up and she'll be like, oh, you want to get in the oven? You just play dumb because we know her game. We're just like, I don't get it. I'm warm right now. Give me a second. Let me have a little bite. And then maybe when I'm colder, I'll come closer.
You have to keep in mind, Beach, that these are like shitty 18th century European sweets. These are people who looked at Turkish delight and were like, this is the greatest stuff that has ever existed and never will exist.
The
This
pinnacle.
is the ultimate confection.
My God, how did they get all this rose water into this weird jelly?
I know. Like, we've been working on sweets in the 21st century like it's the cure for cancer. These have been subjected to the most intense scrutiny and research imaginable.
Yeah, we have 30 different words for sugar.
Yeah. I mean, this is going to taste like wood.
It's not an all-you-can-eat buffet. You can kind of take your time here, Beach.
And it wasn't until I was at a buffet in Las Vegas that I realized just how much dessert I could eat in a sitting. And it turns out it's a lot.
I surprised myself by having a lot of difficulty getting value off of buffets. So I really feel that the Overlook Hotel is really more suited to my needs here.
To be murdered by an axe-wielding maniac?
Again, we don't know if he's shown up yet.
And honestly, that guy got outwitted by a 7-year-old.
Yeah.
I think we can handle it.
Yeah, that kid ran through a maze in the winter and outran a grown man who should clearly know how to find his way through. He's got an axe and he can't find his way through a maze made of trees.
Honestly, if that was a WoW boss fight, you would want your money back on that expansion. You'd be like, man, this guy's pathing sucks. All we have to do is get a hunter to kite him.
Congratulations for your flawless logic and, in fact, discovering the common thread between these two prompts is these are both villains that can be outwitted by children.
Yes.
Yeah.
It only took 4 of us.
I mean, you still haven't nailed the details of Hansel and Gretel. Like, the thing is, the witch is kind of blind. So she sticks Hansel in a cage, and then he, like, sticks the bone of another child out when she wants to test how fat he is by, like, having him stick his finger out there. And then she's like, oh, too thin to eat. And this goes on for weeks, and he's getting fatter and fatter. And eventually she's like, screw it, I'm going to put you in my oven anyhow. And then it's Gretel who actually outwits her by pretending to not know how an oven works. So when the witch bends over to show it, then she just, like, gives her a good old boot to the ass and jams her in the oven. And they seal her in the oven, and she burns to death, and they hear her screams as they run away.
Could you imagine being that witch and just having to deal with these idiot children for so long that you finally just, like, when Hansel and Gretel come along and Gretel doesn't know how to use a stove, you're not like, the hell is wrong with you? You never learned how to use a stove? You're like, of course, idiot children are too stupid to learn how to use the stove. And you just take that as given because you've been conditioned by all these idiot children you've been eating that kids are too dumb. You have to do it all yourself. That's sad.
I also like that Graham's solution wasn't to outsmart the witch, but just give a straight Donnybrook or something there.
No, I just mean she can't force us into the oven. If she tries something, we could, like, I don't know, gently tie her to a chair.
You're showing an awful lot of compassion for this witch. And actually, now that I'm saying it, this sounds a little ridiculous. What about this old crazy woman living in the woods makes her a witch?
Would you want us to not give her? I'll fucking kill her if you want me to.
I'm just more like, this is an old woman who's clearly out of her mind.
Well, yeah, she built a house out of cake.
Exactly, and she has a working oven, but I don't think that like the fact that she's built a home out of cake, does not qualify her to be a witch. There's something inherently magical about that.
I wasn't just gonna kick her frosty door in and be like, all right, Granny,
trick or treat.
Trick or treat, we're gonna tie you down. I was gonna be like, yo, can we stay here? And then if she's like, sure, why don't you just hop into this conspicuous oven? At that point, it'd be like, no. And if she's like, I'm gonna try to force you to your death somehow, then I'll fight back.
Her little bird arms pushing against you.
Proportional response.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not leading with murder here, Beej.
No, that's fair.
You never lead with murder.
Gotta keep that in the back pocket.
Yes, thank you.
Just in case.
That's plan B.
Or M.
Yeah.
For murder.
So what we've decided on is that Serge and Graham are good at planning, and that Beej and Cameron have seen too much shit on the internet and aren't scared by anything. So I'm going to give you guys 9 points for your witch skills, and I'm going to give you guys 7 points for your appreciation of the fine pattern on the Overlook Hotel's carpets.
They're tessellated bacteriophages.
Well, I'm glad we've all learned that. I feel like we're a little bit smarter, which is good news. And another good news, good news! The Christmas creep is worse than ever, and the Canadian government is sick of it. In an attempt to keep Yuletide festivities in December where they belong, Justin Trudeau has personally asked you to create a new holiday to be held in November. So what are we going to be celebrating? Team Surgeon Graham's friendship is like a latte that is not very good.
It's perfect. The new Canadian holiday in November is Thanksgiving. Now, you may be saying, but wait, Canadians already have Thanksgiving in October, and Americans have Thanksgiving in November, and we have to keep reminding them about it.
Yeah.
Yes. So this is now Canadian Thanksgiving in November. Bonuses. Double Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Now, not only do we have ours earlier in the year, and ours is better because it's a harvest festival and not about this, like, mythical picnic that the Pilgrims and the First Nations supposedly had.
Yeah.
Double the turkey.
Love turkey. Okay.
And we just get to lord it over the Americans that it's like, oh yeah, no, Thanksgiving? Yeah, we have 2 of those.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now we have one also in November that's now directly competing with theirs. It's just better.
I'm spitballing here.
Okay,
Okay.
let's wrap.
But in the same vein as Canadian Thanksgiving coming a month before the American Thanksgiving, then, and really the rest of the world's Thanksgiving, why don't we do Canadian Christmas in November, before Christmas as is recognized.
Like an early ablative Christmas.
Yes, to absorb all the heat of all the shit that we have to deal with, to blow that off before actual Christmas happens.
Like a dike against the Yuletide.
Yeah. Yeah. And it'd be like Canadian Christmas, or Canamus for short.
At the risk of being rude and poking holes in your argument, your solution to reducing the Christmas creep has been to move the goalposts of Christmas so that now the region of time consumed by the Christmas creep is just valid because it's also for Christmas.
That's correct, yes.
Yes.
Does Canamus have different traditions than Christmas? Different foods?
I feel it should have the identical ones.
Yeah, like it actually should be, yeah, it should be everything that we're used to, and then it should be a hard cutoff featured in media. Is that we basically make an agreement that all Canadian media, CBC, everybody else just stops talking about Christmas and says that, okay, Canamus is when we celebrate the birth of Jesus, but now we're celebrating it closer to the time in which he would have actually been born, so there we've done better already. And when you're done doing that, cut that off. We're done.
Yeah, it's just over.
So if I'm shown two pictures of Canamus and Christmas, interior, so weather doesn't matter, two pictures of the evening feast, I shouldn't be able to tell them apart.
I feel like maybe we could scale everything down by like maybe 40%. Instead of a turkey, you would have like maybe a roast chicken, and there would be a solid like $20 limit.
Well, that's pretty
on
good
gifts.
because then it would have this feeling of you know, we're doing this, we're getting together in a time of the year that's probably easier for people to deal with. So we're all having this meeting, we're like getting together, having a feast, and it's good. But it isn't like we're not trying to make it the most special thing. So there's not a lot riding on this.
Yeah.
You fuck up a chicken, it's like, well, I'll just go to the store and buy another one. It'll be fine.
You're describing a company Christmas party. You're not describing a holiday.
But with all the warmth of, you know, having your family together.
But
you know,
you're saying like less parties, less gifts, less expectations. That is the holiday Christmas party.
yeah, but that's the Christmas I want to leave. I want to have a Christmas that's like when I show up to it, I feel like, God, I'm glad this didn't take a lot of effort on my part.
Yeah.
Does the name sound like cannabis on purpose?
Yes.
Cool.
Thanks for noticing.
All right.
What do you think the tree's made out of?
That's why this should be a chill night for all.
Yeah.
That would make the pictures look a little different.
A
now
little
that I think
different.
about it.
Everyone's got little like blurrier eyes, you know. Just
You can get cameras correct for that now.
oh, that's good. Okay.
Good. Yeah.
The iPhone
I mean,
has a way to take that out.
Oh my God.
yeah, if the tree is 40% smaller, you don't notice that it's just an actual bud.
Now, so I really like this idea of cannabis, and I like this idea of like smaller gifts, and you know,
Many people
less,
enjoy cannabis, yes.
yeah, you know, like
Recreationally.
and,
Legally now here.
But what's weird is that it's like that I'm still not sold on second Canadian Thanksgiving. So when is it?
The exact same day as American Thanksgiving.
Oh.
Yeah.
It
yeah.
floats, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
And then in that way, we also solve the main thing, which is less hours and days dedicated to Christmas. Instead of extending and doubling that holiday season, we actively push back by just hijacking their holiday and making it better by making it Canadian.
And Canadian retailers have already started to try and make Black Friday a thing in Canada, which I loathe, but I can't stop them. So we're having this awful retail fuckscape of Black Friday without the joy of
Turkey.
turkey and stuffing and potatoes and all that
Yeah.
good stuff the day beforehand or the weekend. It's divorced from that. So at least we can add that onto it. And the best part about Canadian Thanksgiving is that we get to say, well, you see, ours is all different and fancy and we're a unique thing from yours. And so now we get to do that more. We just go, yes, well, we had one last month, but now we're having another one today.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. I want to twiddle the knobs. Do you mind if I twiddle your knobs?
Please, Beach, twiddle my knobs.
Okay. So Canadian Thanksgiving always lines up with Columbus Day in the States.
It's the second Monday of October.
What if on American Thanksgiving, Canadian Thanksgiving is all about celebrating Indigenous people?
Ooh.
As a bit of a thumb in the eye, to be like, you celebrate a guy who just massacred a whole bunch of people. we're going to celebrate the fact that we know we need to do better.
I love that, A, we get to finally be like, no, we are having a same holiday the same day as you so that nobody gets any work done. And B, by the way, you know, this facade that you've put on about like, yes, well, you see, the Pilgrims came and had a lovely turkey dinner with all the happy natives, and it was great. We get to be like, no, that wasn't what happened. And also check out our thing.
Yeah, a day of truth and reconciliation.
Yeah,
Well, and you have like a feast that is like seasonal and local, right? Rather than like whatever it is the Americans have decided that we eat on Thanksgiving.
yeah.
But also give people, I think, a reason to travel and go see their family in other locations.
Oh,
That
try
if
out
I-
the local cuisine.
Yeah, I have Albertan family, and if they were at all home during November, I might be like, well, then maybe I'll go home for Thanksgiving and I'll have buffalo, or maybe I'll stay here and I'll enjoy, the fruits of the West Coast.
Or you could go visit them in Phoenix.
Yeah,
I mean, don't.
where they're having Thanksgiving because it's America.
Right. Yeah.
I guess you would have Taco Bell.
Yeah.
All right, so what we've all decided here is that we've all actually come up with a very good idea that should probably be implemented, but is not going to happen because this is, of course, a made-up internet panel show where nothing we say matters and has no consequence, just like the points and the scoring and whoever wins the show. So I'm going to give you all 1 trillion points.
Okay.
So
We have 1 trillion, and 9.
Yeah.
And you had 1 trillion and 7.
Which, when you're measuring them on a cosmic scale, are practically the same score.
Yeah,
Practically
I'd
the
say,
same, but we are 2 better.
Yeah, well, I'd say like at that point though, you're getting into margins of error. So I'm going to say that like many of the First Nations people who have not been treated very well in Canada, everyone loses. Thank you for such an uplifting episode of The Panelists. Please come back next week. Bye.